What up, though, y'all? It's Chris. Appreciate you connecting with me while I continue to run. I'm out here doing this and that, getting stuff done. Shout out to you guys, my subs. Thanks for riding along with me, literally and metaphorically. The road to 5,000, we continue to go. And let's get into it. I've seen that there's a lot of actors that are coming out of retirement, or a few notable ones rather, coming out of retirement or can't retire at all because they needs the money. They needs the ends. Them ends ain't right for them to just ride off into the sunset. I seen Jim Carrey actually said this, that he's out of retirement because Jim Carrey did kind of do a bit of a soft retirement. He did kind of say that he was done acting and just fade away. We didn't see him for a while. He's been doing the 3 Sonic movies lately. I don't know if he's been in anything else. I know he's now been in this 3rd Sonic movie. And we've seen Harrison Ford, Nicolas Cage, and there's one other one. His name is eluding me. But you guys get the point. There's actors that you would have thought were in a position to retire and they're not. So I found that to be interesting because these are people that we see, they've done a lot of stuff, and we figured that they just been making money hand over fist, and some of them may have and just kind of did some mismanaging. I'm not really counting Nick Cage's pockets, but he did have that situation a while back where he owed millions of dollars in taxes. He was in hot water with the IRS, and people were kind of giving him work so that he could help to pay that down. Wesley Snipes, remember, he ended up in a situation with taxes too. He ended up going to prison for it. Unfortunately, he back out, he doing his thing. He's kept a really low profile. But in the case of Jim Carrey, I kind of wondered why he just seemingly bounced out again doing stuff when he was so, I don't want to say adamant, but he was kind of serious. For a funny guy, he was being unusually candid about retiring before, and now he's kind of shed some light on that, being candid again. And it's, Hollywood really does give off this perception that people are just killing it, making a ton of money. You just really have no way of knowing, because they could be making less money on these movies than what you think, or they could have a bit of a spending problem. Harrison Ford still doing the Indiana Jones stuff and Han Solo stuff. I mean, he was worth hundreds of millions of dollars before. I think he was worth at one point $400 million. So going from being worth $400 million to not being able to retire, I mean, that's gotta suck. So it kind of makes you wonder, like, dang, man, what were they doing with their money? Like, how do you mismanage hundreds of millions of dollars to where you his age and you can't retire? Now, my son was telling me Jim Carrey has said that this 3rd Sonic movie is gonna be his last one. I don't know how true that is, honestly, because even if he did say that, because I haven't seen no article saying it, but even if he did say that, he might be okay now. There's likely going to be a 4th Sonic movie, and if they tap him for a 4th Sonic movie, it'll be a couple years from now at the very least. So even if he is like entertaining the idea of being done, he might not feel the same way once they come calling, offering him another multi-million-dollar check. But then again, he could just be done doing Sonic and want to do other things, because I mean, Jim Carrey, I think he's still bankable. I don't think he can really headline movies anymore, but man, he could play the hell out of a supporting role. Like, he's really killed it with his Eggman. I mean, his Eggman is not like the Eggman that we would expect if you grew up in the 90s playing the Sonic games, but he still killed the role. He's put his own stamp on it. It kind of reminds me of his portrayal of the Riddler what was that, Batman and Robin, his portrayal of the Riddler. That's kind of like how he portrays Eggman in this. But it does work. He makes it work. I seen the Sonic movie yesterday, and it was a really enjoyable watch. So if you guys haven't checked that out and you've watched the other two, I do recommend it. It is a fun watch. Keanu Reeves as Shadow was really fun. You know, it was I don't know if I would ever watch it a second time. I don't think I've watched any of the Sonic movies a second time, even though I've enjoyed all three. I usually don't watch too many movies a second time anymore. But yeah, it was a really fun watch. Well, you got guys making millions of dollars that are mismanaging it. It kind of makes you wonder, how bad have things been for people out here? I mean, we know the economy was bad and inflation was bad and all this sort of stuff, but here are people that you thought, and I thought, were to a certain extent immune to these things, especially when you look at who they've been supporting politically. You would think that these are people who are oblivious to how things have been for your everyday man, and that's why they're backing the people that they are. But no, they're facing some of the same struggles that us everyday folks are struggles. I mean, that they're facing the same struggles that your everyday people like us are struggling with, only somehow at a higher level. I mean, going from being on a red carpet to being like, you gotta keep acting because you can't retire, man, that's rough, man. And I don't know if it's because of an overspending issue. I mean, that'd be the case with us. We buy a lot of stuff that we don't need. So I would imagine that people like them do the same thing too. They get used to making millions of dollars with, you know, no real exit strategy. Pro athletes are like this in a lot of cases too. They spend and spend and spend and spend. Antoine Walker was a cautionary tale. I mean, when he was hot, he was hot. He was making tons of money, and the dude got down so bad that he was working a regular job, or is working a regular job. Dude's eating ramen noodles. Dude couldn't afford to own a car. I mean, this is what happens when you have a lot of resources at your disposal and is going out as fast as it's coming in. So it's coming in, you turn around, and it's going out, and you don't really put anything aside. You don't really invest anything. You have no real strategy for getting out of the game. You have no retirement plan. Looks like we're all guilty of this, including these movie stars. Because when they said Al Pacino, I'm like, Scarface Al Pacino? Because I mean, he's considered a legendary actor, right? He's still working. He's old, but he still gets stuff. He's considered a legendary actor. I think he had a baby recently as well. Him and the other gangster, Robert De Niro. They had kids recently, so maybe that's got something to do with why they got to keep working, keeping a woman living in the lifestyle that you've gotten her accustomed to, being the side chick. You know, that can't be cheap. So those might also be contributing factors to why they can't quite retire. But I don't know what's going on with Jim Carrey, but he probably getting it together now. You know, when you've had a lot of money, and I can tell y'all this from experience, when you've had access to a lot of money and you blew it, because I've done that. From when I was in real estate, I was killing it, man. And then you blew it and you end up broke. When you start making good money again, you move different. You a lot more cautious with your spending. Suddenly that flashy thing, man, I don't want that no more. Like, it's cool and all, but I would rather be able to look at my bank account and see that number in there. I want those digits in my bank account more than I want that whatever flashy item. You know, you stop buying designer clothes like you used to. You stop buying as many sneakers like you used to. You're not trying to own 10 cars. You know, you may have once did that. You had to sell all of them. Now you got a car for you, a car for her, and you got a family car. You might got 3 cars now, and you like, I'm good with that. I don't need 10 cars. I can only drive one at a time. Some people may not even have 3 cars. They might just have a his and her car. I've seen people that just get down to 1 car that they both share. I can't do that, bro. Like, when I look outside and I'm like, yeah, I want to go do this and I want to go do that, I got to be able to go. I can't sit around waiting for when the car comes back. That's just a waste of time for me. I like to optimize time out of the day as much as possible. So if it's something I want to do or need to do right here and now, and I look outside and the car is gone, I'm just like on impatient mode. Like, when is she coming back so I get out here? So I can't do that. I got to have at least a 2-car household. Can't split cars, bro. I did that before. No shame to those who have to do that. But if you don't have to do that, you won't do that. That's a for real do what you got to do sort of thing. So the people who are in the position to have 2 cars, a his and hers, and they still choose to do 1 car for them both, and here they go running the damn stop sign and almost messing things up, and they still choose to do that. They both share 1 car. That's some self-imposed suffering that I'm not interested in. But I'm gonna leave it there, man. I thought that was very interesting. You got the celebrities, they're not doing as well as you may have thought. And I think many of them, that's their reality. Just because they're not talking about it don't mean that that's not happening. I think many of them, man, that's their reality. Unless it's somebody like, like Denzel, Sam Jackson, guys like that, Tom Cruise, like you kind of know they balling. You may not know exactly what they working with, but you know they balling. Like they could retire and be okay. But outside of them, I really wouldn't be surprised if many of them is still doing what they doing because they really can't step away from it yet. They got to get out there and grind and do them shows, do the movies. Recently, Ernie Hudson, and he's from here as well. Shout outs to Ernie Hudson. He was here at was it Motor City Comic Con. They did a viewing for Ghostbusters over at the Imagine Theater nearby in Novi. He went there to do that. It was a really cool event. But I ended up learning after that he's kind of doing stuff like that because he really has to. He kind of has to take what roles he can get. He kind of has to do the whole Comic-Con circuit and all that sort of stuff. He's saying that he basically living paycheck to paycheck like everybody else. He got into the movie business to be rich and famous. And he is famous, but the rich part didn't quite happen for him. So I thought that was real interesting, man. But I'm going to leave it there. I'll holler at y'all later. Peace.